The Torchwood monthly range has been on a little bit of a break over the past few months while they've done their Among Us range, their trilogy of Among Us box sets. One of those box sets also had a story featuring Murray Melvin, who played Billis Manger in the TV series of Torchwood, who recently passed away. And we thought, or at least I thought, that the Among Us story was going to be his final performance in the role, but then we later found out that he's actually recorded more with Big Finish, and now we actually have what I believe is his final performance for Big Finish for the character of Billis Manger in Sigil. This is the 74th story in the Torchwood monthly range, which is now returning. This was stealth dropped. They basically announced what this was at the same time that they released it. They proper shadow dropped this. I'm not sure why. There's nothing about this that spoils anything that happens in the Among Us box sets or the story that he featured in Among Us Part 2, which was probably one of the best stories across those three box sets, but completely unrelated to everything else that was happening in the Among Us saga, in the Among Us storylines over the three box sets. But either way, it's great that we've got Murray Melvin back one more time as Billis Manger in Sigil. So we find Billis running his clock shop, as we saw in the Torchwood Series 1 finale, because he has a affinity for not just clocks, but time as a concept, which is very, very strange, but we all need our hobbies in our old age. And Billis encounters a young woman called Sam, played by Gabrielle Brooks, who has been walking by the shop and has taken particular notice of a bird statue that has recently appeared in the window, and she's having dreams about it, particularly this sigil, this sign, which you can see on the cover behind Billis Manger, which has been in her dreams. It's something that she's thought of and has even sold merchandise for it over the past few years, including prints, including bags and pillows, etc. And then she sees the statue in this shop one day with this sigil on it, and the mystery begins as to what is this bird statue, what is this sigil, how does it tie into Sam and the personal relationship that she is having with her boyfriend, Emil, played by Angus Imrie. And what this basically feels like to me is an adult episode of Goosebumps, where you've got these younger characters discovering this strange personal secret and this strange ominous character, but the ominous character is Billis Manger, and he takes no prisoners. Let's play a clip from Sigil.
Just the one clock?
I had to keep resetting them. Roadworks, probably. Are you here to buy a timepiece? I can assure you they're all in working order.
No, thank you, Bill.
I suspected as much. And sadly, I have miraculously fished another ancient bronze statue from the crate of a dozen I have stashed out the back. I'm not a Moroccan bazaar, Samantha.
I prefer Sam.
I know you do. You are here about the statue, aren't you?
Yes.
So much fuss about a statue.
Sorry.
At the auction at which I acquired the statue, I did purchase something else which may be relevant. It was a house clearance in a little place called Coldon. The house had once belonged to the Reverend Spode.
Spode?
A very tiresome man. Professional moralist and amateur crusader. Caused no end of trouble. Anyway, he died defeated. Left his legacy to his family, who very sensibly got shot of it. Lock, stock and barrel.
Including the statue?
As soon as I saw it, it had my attention. Such a remarkable piece.
And what else did you buy?
I was intrigued, wanted to know the statue's provenance. The good Reverend was always digging up things that were none of his business. A hopeless mystery.
One less. I mean, how long ago did he live?
A most tediously typical Victorian who outlived his age, reason and purpose.
Got it. He'd have kept a diary.
Very good.
So you kind of get the sense on the more laid-back and methodical tone that this story is taking, where you've got this character, Sam, who is trying to uncover this mystery with the sigil and the raven statue that has turned up at Billis's clock shop. Now, the reason I use the Goosebumps comparison is not me saying that this is like infantile, that this is like sort of like child's play. It is just more of the framing device, where this is a story that features and stars Murray Melvin as Billis. You know, he's on the cover, he has got like top billing, of course, but he is very much a supporting character in the background. You are mainly following Sam, played by Gabrielle Brooks, who is the one who is driving the story forward, who is trying to uncover this mystery, and every so often she pops into the shop to get advice and some additional clues and hints and resources from Billis Manger. This is quite similar, I think, to the War Master box sets, where, you know, in those stories and those box sets, there's no doctor coming to save the unfortunate people who the War Master happens to encounter and rips apart over the course of those stories. And the same is true here. This is a Billis Manger story. There's no Torchwood coming to save the day. How is Sam going to get out of this, if there is indeed something that Sam does need to get out of? Because this story does hold many of its cards close to its chest, and it also plays a lot on the psychological aspect of the premise, where this is a sigil, this is a sign that Sam has known about growing up, and that she just thought she thought it up one day, but no, it's actually got some long, deep and complicated demonic history, and she has hallucinations. She feels feathers forcing their way up her throat. And she has these really horrible, visceral nightmares which feel very real when she's having them. A lot of psychological horror here, and I really appreciated that from Sigil. It's a really interesting approach that I've not seen many modern Big Finish box sets take that route. And this, you know, this is Torchwood. It's meant for an older adult audience, so it can go in those directions, whereas something like The War Master might not necessarily be able to. But we're seeing it through Sam's perspective, not Torchwood's perspective, not Billis's perspective. This is Sam's story, and Gabrielle Brooks does a great job carrying the story, but of course Murray Melvin is wonderful, charming, really sardonic and very sly over the course of this story. In that clip there was the moment where she said, I prefer Sam, and he says, I know you do. Like, he hates abbreviated shortened names, but he also loves his clock shop, his time shop, and it was a really cool, you know, setting to base his scenes around. This small location that we saw in the Torchwood 1 series finale, and how it's now expanded to his philosophy on how he sees the universe, how he sees time as a concept, and the light and dark that it enables and it embodies. Sigil was really good. It was a good, creepy story. I appreciated it very much as like an adult version of Goosebumps or Creeped Out or Tales from the Crypt, where, you know, the framing device of this innocent character who has blundered into this situation, and there's a strange mentor, ominous figure, but the figure here is Billis. Ash Darby has, I don't think he's written any Billis storylines before. He's predominantly written a lot of Torchwood stuff for Big Finish, but I think this is his first stab at Billis as a character, and I think he did a really good job here. I think he captured the voice brilliantly, and Murray Melvin is absolutely fantastic. This is a really great send-off for the character, even though it does end in a slightly open-ended kind of way, where they could reinvent the character, or they could close the book on this part of the Torchwood universe out of respect for Murray Melvin and his legacy on the show. I know that Big Finish is not adverse to casting impressionists or sound-alikes later on down the line, and I'd be open to them doing that for the character of Billis, but I think Sigil does a good job at sort of closing the book, and they can always reopen it or go to another book or another chapter another time in the future. This metaphor's kind of gotten away from me, but Sigil was a solid psychological horror, and it's one of those ones where the ending makes you want to listen to it again to see what the clues are, to see if it really did earn that twist ending that Sigil delivers. I think that it did a great job at stringing me along, at least. I can't claim to speak for everybody who listens to this production, but for me, it strung me along, played me like a fiddle, cut my strings. I liked the ending a lot, and I will definitely be listening to Sigil again in the very near future to see if it stacks up on a second listen. But the fact that I'm so eager to get into a second listen, which I don't often do for these Big Finish productions because they release so much, I have to go on to the next one in order to review it for the next live stream. But the fact that I do want to dive into this one again, that says a lot for me at least.